Hello, how are you doing? My name is Ana Estefany Muñoz. Thank you for joining us in this live, which will last around 45 minutes. And we will be talking about how to get flip-flop business lifestyle ready. If you hear me well, please put like or comment and below and which country are you listening us from. Our guest as today is a Dutch digital nomad, a dog mom, and a happiness and business lifestyle coach. Male entrepreneurs hire her to create flip-flop business lifestyles so that they feel on vacation every day. So if you want to find more about our lives, I'm going to post on the chat not only the link, but also the contact information from our special guest today. Our company, Excede tu Potencial, has the purpose of helping companies and their employees to refocus stress and anxiety so they can increase productivity, improve relationships, and results. And as a transformational coach, I help people to free themselves from the inner mental jail that they have built throughout their past experiences in order to find fulfillment, balance, and happiness, the one that they're looking for. So today, our special guest, let me introduce you to her, is Monique Toonen. She is an introvert and male entrepreneur. Hire her to triple their profit by mastering the wheel of sharp weapons. Monique, it's an honor to have you here today. Do you want to share some words with our audience, please?
Yes, well, thank you for having me, of course, and I'm so excited to broadcast what to your audience, and I hope they learn a ton and I can bring value. So I'm happy to be here. Thank you so much.
Hold on. Oh, there. I'm sorry. I missed you for a second. I think it was my internet connection. I'm back. Thank you, Monique. It's so great to have you here. And I want to know, I want to know how the audience is feeling today. And I want to ask the audience first, because so we can go into the topic that we're discussing with you today. So for the ones listening, I would like to ask you, why is it important to ask yourself questions? We tend to go through life just, living, but not really asking ourselves things like reflecting upon things. We tend to, and with this fast speed today, it's even more complicated and less obvious. So why do you think it's important that we stop and ask ourselves questions and deep questions? And while you answered that, while the audience answered that, Monique, I want to know what is the first most important two questions that you need to ask yourself?
The first one is, how do I feel?
How do I feel?
People, when you ask people, how do you feel? They're like, I don't know. And when I ask them, how do you feel about it? They don't know, or they don't feel what it feels like, what makes them happy. So that's the first question you have to ask yourself. Because if you don't know how you feel, because feeling good and feeling happy, the first thing you need to ask yourself, how do I feel? Right? Otherwise, how can you build on feeling good?
Exactly.
And you never can compound it.
Completely agree. And what would be the second question be?
How do I create more happiness? How can I build on that good feeling and build a business around it?
Okay, so how am I feeling and how can I build this feeling to build something in my life? Could be a business, or it could be, a better leader in my family, a better leader in my company.
I see happiness as a business model.
Explain a
Happiness
little
is,
bit further on that. I want to explore a
well,
little bit more on the topic.
well, I, instead of thinking, um, how much money can I earn, and what
Mm-hmm.
profession do I need to choose for that?
Mm-hmm.
That's a rational mind, right?
Right.
With a rational mind, you never can be happy, because if you feel miserable with a lot of money, you also feel miserable with no money, even worse, right?
That's true.
But if you, as I created it myself, I've built on what made me feel good. So, and I didn't know, because I was too busy all the time. I didn't have time to explore my feelings. I didn't have time to sit with my feelings. I couldn't address my feelings. So that's one of the reasons I started my podcast, Feel Your Feelings, because when you feel your feelings, everything changed for me. You know, I was always this rational, masculine woman. Although I look like a woman, I was really, I had a lot of masculine man energy. And I didn't know how to tap into this being energy, this feminine energy, right? I was doing, doing, doing. And no surprise, I had 3 burnouts. And after the third one, I was like, okay, how many burnouts do you need to change your life?
Mm-hmm.
3 on a row isn't enough?
Hmm.
But I didn't know how in the beginning. So in the beginning, to feel my feelings was challenging. You know, I was like, yeah, but, and my ego was not my amigo.
I love that.
You know, because if you keep listening to your ego, it will um, hold you on the spot.
Yeah.
You're not able to grow. So I saw my ego as a, how do I say that, a showstopper,
Hmm.
right? Because and I couldn't release my feelings, and not the feelings of joy, because you
Mm-hmm.
know your ego always says that's stupid,
Exactly.
or you cannot earn money with this.
Exactly.
I used to do even my hobbies. If my hobbies weren't aligned with my outcome, or my vision, or my spot in the future, I wouldn't do it, because it was a waste of time.
Wow. No,
So
I
a
can
waste of,
relate.
yeah, a waste of time. Can you imagine?
Yeah.
And then I started um, to learn Spanish,
Mm-hmm.
because I love the language, but in the beginning I was like, yeah, why should I learn Spanish? I like Spanish, but I can't use it for my business. That was the thought.
Mm-hmm.
So at that moment, when I started to shift my future, I I started to study Spanish, and
Mm-hmm.
just because I liked it,
Mm-hmm.
just because I enjoyed it.
You didn't have, that goal
No,
of it's going to serve
no,
me for my
no,
business or it's going to
no,
make me a better professional.
no, no,
You did
not
it
at
for the
all.
fun of it.
Exactly, and nothing else.
Mm-hmm.
And even though I didn't know I would use it in the future,
Mm-hmm.
and I still do it every day because I like it.
Exactly.
Just because I like it,
Exactly.
nothing else.
No, and how important it is. My husband used to think that sleeping was a waste of time.
Oh, nothing. Yeah,
So
that's
imagine all the
yeah,
consequences it brought to him.
yeah, yeah.
Because
That
the problem is, and you know it after 3 burnouts, it's not what we focus on, is what we forget to do and focus on, that it's important and that we don't believe it's
yes,
important.
yeah, yeah. Well, for me, I actually did a lot of maintenance from my past because I neglected actually my emotional um, well-being. I didn't tap into my emotional needs. It was always on the back burner. And I always thought, well, somebody else will take care of me. Nobody does.
All
And it's
right.
very harsh. I mean, it was hard to
To accept it.
discover, no, also to discover that nobody else is going to take care of me, only me. And that is harsh
It's
and
harsh.
disappointing as well.
Yeah, it
So
is.
instead of, and this is something I learned so badly, instead of um, disappointing someone else, you better um, take care of yourself. You don't disappoint you. So
Exactly.
you will always take care of you and never forget you, no matter what other people say.
Yeah. Here what you're saying, I pick up two things that are really, really important. And one is self-care.
Yep.
That if we have our daily routine of self-care, we all need it. It doesn't matter if we're introvert, extroverts, we all need it
Yeah.
because we need this time by ourselves. It doesn't matter if it's 5 minutes or 1 hour a day, depending on everybody's different situation and different moment in life. We have more or less time. It doesn't matter, but at
True.
least 5 minutes to energize, to be with yourself,
Yeah.
to organize yourself what you want to do that day and how are you going to show up
Yeah.
for yourself and for the people around you.
Yeah.
And the other thing is that we are emotional illiterates, I call it. In Spanish, analfabeta emocional. We don't know anything about emotions. If I ask you how many emotions do you know, you will tell me probably less than 20. And there are thousands of different emotions
Yes.
that we don't even know the names of.
Yeah.
And when we see the name, it's like, oh, I've heard that name, but I don't know what it is.
Exactly.
On one hand, and on the other one, that's on one side, that we don't even like name the emotions.
No, no, and not giving words to it because you
Exactly.
don't know them. So how do you express your feelings? I didn't know how to express my feeling
Exactly.
because I didn't learn how to language it.
And that's the first part. But then the
Absolutely.
second part is you confuse one emotion with another. So you think, oh, I'm feeling anxious. But what you really have is fear.
Yes.
Or what you really have is something else, or
Yeah.
anger, or a
Yeah.
mixture of many emotions, but you don't
Yes.
even know. I remember one of my clients, and she's part of the membership I have, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to put the link there for those of you who want to join. It's in Spanish. And when she started working with me, she said, I'm feeling anxious all the time. That was the word she used.
Okay.
And a couple of months after she started the program, she's like, now I understand. I wasn't anxious. What I was feeling was stress. But I
Exactly.
thought that was anxiety. And now that I understand what's the difference between stress and anxiety, I know that what I was experimenting and experienced was stress. And I didn't even know how to name
Yeah.
it. I thought
No.
it was something else.
Well, so can you imagine what your self-talk is around that? Not having language for your feelings. If you keep saying I'm anxiety, I feel anxiety instead of stress, That's a whole different perspective.
Completely.
I remember that when I started from doing and stopped doing, I all kind of emotions came up, and I didn't know what it was. I couldn't give words to it. I had to learn what it was, and I felt that I had a lot of resistance to do things because of my ego. So, but actually, it wasn't resistance, it was fear. Fear for the new, fear for not knowing, fear of putting myself in a new container and not knowing how to cope with it. But if you don't step into a new container, you're never going to learn the skills. So you have to step into the new container and trust that it will go just the way it goes and take whatever comes.
Exactly. I completely agree with you. And I wanna ask the audience, after you were mentioning these two very key questions we need to ask, like, what is the feeling that most motivates you to find happiness? Because we've been talking about, we want to be happy. All these questions and all this is to be happy. So what is it? I want to know what the audience has to say about this. And while the audience answers us, I want to ask you, Monique, why feeling your feelings is the road to happiness? Because we've explained how important they are, even though if we see it as negative or positive, it doesn't really work like that. They just feelings, and they all have a message for us. But let's say they're positive and negative, so people can relate, because that's normally when we are emotionally literate, that's the way we see emotion, as positive and negative.
Yes.
So can you explain us?
Well, because I don't know where to start. Well, I believe, because I see this as a you're like a flower, right? So this is the old self, right? So the old self needs to crack open, right? And only with fuel. So if your emotion, we drive our lives on emotion, whether you like it or not.
Yes, that's the way it works.
And also, when people feel depressed, is because they depress their feelings. They are afraid to live in their potential.
Yes.
So why do you have to feel your feelings? Is because that's the only way you will crack open from the old self. And as I learned yesterday, how many distract projects do you fantasize about, so you're not doing what you're good at? Oh no, I have to do this. Oh no, I have to do that. Instead of do the right thing.
Exactly.
But that's scary, right? Ooh, let's say somebody will attack me, or somebody will not accept me, right? Being visible, saying what you need. Oh, maybe someone said, "Yeah, you're weird."
Exactly.
Why do you need this? Yeah, because I like it, because I want it, right?
Because it makes me happy.
Exactly. It's just the way as I started my Spanish, just because I like it. But now it's all about, do you accept that from yourself? Are you worthy enough to receive it Or are you sabotaging other people so you don't get it, so you don't have to stay in your potential? Understand what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So you keep
Explain them
distracting.
a little bit further for those people that might,
Yes,
have second thoughts about what you're
yes,
saying. I
because
think this one's.
because if you are not doing what you're good at,
Mhm.
you find ways you don't have to do it because you're afraid of rejection.
Or of doing it wrong,
Yeah, but
making mistakes.
yeah. Well, I think we are humans, and we learn from mistakes, and the world doesn't go under when you make a mistake.
No, but sometimes not sometimes, many times we pressure ourselves more,
Exactly. Yes.
and we tend to be perfectionist on many things,
Yeah.
and the stress starts there and the anxiety
Yeah.
because of that many times.
Yes. But it's not. It's okay to be perfectionistic, but don't start with it, right? Because if you start with it, you're never going to start. So you learn from, just like you learn bicycling, you have to get on the bike and fell off and then get up. So the
Mhm.
winners are always the people who get up over and over and over and over again
Mhm.
and never give up.
Exactly.
So that's why that's something also, and that is something my that is getting flip-flop business lifestyle ready is also about. I always took sprints, so short, running hard, another goal and another goal and another goal and another goal, and I was exhausted. I did not a sprint, and it was every time it was a short run. And
Mhm.
after my divorce, I shifted my whole being, and my third burnout, I started to create a business model and a foundation for happiness, of finding my happiness seeds, as supposed to creating or preparing myself for a marathon for the
Mhm.
rest of my life,
Mhm.
for one or two big projects. And that's it. Committed to those one or two projects. And keep going.
Mhm.
Not like a crazy dog, but step by step. And keep that serenity, keep not quiet, but keep calm. As soon as you find stress or panic, your emotion takes over,
Yeah.
and you feel like you don't know what to do anymore because
Exactly.
your head is turning
Crazy.
like crazy. Exactly. You don't have a clear mind anymore.
That's true. That's true. And you lose perspective, you lose
Yep.
focus, you lose
Everything.
clarity, you lose productivity, you lose them
Yeah.
all.
And
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's not possible to experience it, but it's how you navigate from it. I used to be, when I was angry at myself, I could be angry for days on myself.
Mhm.
For days. I speak to the hand. That was the only thing I said, really, But now I'm like, okay, wow, this triggers me, what is
Mhm.
happening? And I embrace my feelings, because people think always be happy is not possible. That's not it.
Mm-mm. It's not
It
about being happy all the time.
No, it is how quickly can you navigate through the negative? And not honing it away, because that's the shadow of optimism. You have to still embrace the negative, because otherwise you're a Robocop.
Yeah.
Even on the good side.
Yeah, it's about, letting the emotion go through you, positive, negative, whatever emotion it is, because they all pass. And according to studies, the emotion just lasts 90 seconds. So if the emotion is longer, it's because you put your head into it.
Exactly.
For the good or for the worse. I mean, it doesn't matter. But it takes longer to leave the body.
Exactly.
If you start thinking or justifying or clarifying or analyzing whatever you're feeling, instead of just letting it feel.
So that's why you can learn to navigate that.
Yeah, and I love that. And I want for those of you who just started watching us, I want to tell you, we are talking about how to get flip-flop business lifestyle ready. And we're talking with Monique Toonen. She's a Dutch digital nomad, a dog mom, and a happiness and business lifestyle coach. So for those of you who haven't gotten my freebie yet, and it's work stress, the silent enemy in Spanish, I put the link there so you can download it, and you can also see all of Monique's contact details in the chat, in YouTube and in Facebook, where we're recording this, and it's going to be open and available for anyone that want to watch it. If you want to share it with somebody that can benefit from this talk, then please do so. So I want to ask the audience, Monique, before we continue, why do you aspire to have a business lifestyle? Like, what is it that you like? But a business lifestyle more in the direction what we've been talking with Monique about, being happy, but having a lifestyle that either if you're an entrepreneur or you work for a company, but something that you have a more balanced life, that you fulfill your professional needs and professional goals, but also have the personal life you aspire. So Monique, while they answer us this, what does a flip-flop business lifestyle mean? So we go into detail of the topic of today. What does it mean?
Yeah, great question. Well, people ask me a lot, what is a flip-flop? Because it is, it's actually being strategic, lazy.
And
Tell
me more. I like that.
Well, as I call it in my business, throwing stars like a ninja with precision. So really tap into your feelings. Is this for me or not? And we have so much this fear of missing out. We like, wow, I need to be there and I need to be there. Instead of, is this really benefiting me? And in what way? So simplify your life. That's where I started with. Now, as you know, I've recently sold all my property, my car, my everything, to become a digital nomad. How about working lighter? Not having all this maintenance of those assets I need to take care of. And I have a lot of variety coming up because of my travels. So when I start to create this flip-flop business lifestyle, was I want to feel on vacation every day. And it's not about being in a country on the beach. That's possible, of course. But doesn't matter, because we all know this feeling when you are on vacation. You're relaxed, you're enjoying, you're laughing, you're open, you meet new people, and when you're tired, you're like, okay, tonight I'm going to go to bed early, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to create this feeling that I had on vacation every day. So
Mm-hmm.
I found what is needed in my foundation, what I call my happiness seeds. How can I create this garden of happiness seeds and give them water every day and enjoy it? So that was something I created myself, and I feel on vacation every day. I don't work every day, but and even when I work, I still feel I'm on vacation because I like what I do, first of
Mm-hmm.
all. But if I'm tired or I don't have inspiration or whatever, I go outside. I can leave my work and say, okay, today is not. I need to recharge myself and let it go. Well,
Mm-hmm.
and for me as a doer, tapping into this feeling of, okay, I'm not inspired today, it's not going to work, right? And then trust, and the thing is, as soon as it starts to work, because you feel you taking a distance, getting back to work, all the ideas flip into your mind like nothing because you stepped back. So,
Exactly.
so you are way more efficient, not effective, because effective is only time, but efficient is with precision, throwing stars with precision, first time fix.
I love that analogy of the
That
ninja
is,
stars.
yeah, and that is when a plan comes together, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because I believe there are three roles in life, and I have a meditation about it. It's the dreamer, it's a realist, and it's the critic. So if the dreamer has all the possibilities, right? Because there are no boundaries. That's the dreamer. The realist takes on the dream. So the realist says, okay, I have this dream, and how can I put it into practice? So it's
Mm-hmm.
very practical and put it into pieces, right? So
Mm-hmm.
first time, first this, and then this, and just get started, right?
Exactly.
And the critic, a lot of people think, oh, the critic is the assassino of the dreams, huh? It's not, because the critic says, how can you create it better?
Mm-hmm.
The
How
critic
can you improve it?
starts to question, asking very good questions to amplify it, to make it stronger, to make it bold. That is what. And if the critic don't have the answer, the dreamer has, because
Mm-hmm.
all the questions of the critic can go to the dreamer again. So this is how you create this cycle of, it's all mindset. It's the mindset of the dreamer, it's the mindset of the realist, it's the mindset of the critic. Who can create this visual cycle upwards
Mm-hmm.
through happiness, through feeling good,
Mm-hmm.
compounding those happiness seeds. That is flip-flop business lifestyle.
That's
Feeling
amazing.
happy, create the foundation, build a life around it.
And what about, the people that work for companies? Because what you've been talking about is that when you have your own business,
Yes.
But what if you work for someone else? How would you recommend them to create that lifestyle that will help them thrive? But at the same time, they have a 9 to 5 job, so they have to, be responsible with the time. But
Yes.
how do you recommend to them to build the foundations?
Well, of course, if you are an entrepreneur, you have the opportunity to create whatever you want, right? Uh, so it depends. If people within a company want to start a business, I would recommend to start it next to the job, and then build it in your spare time. And if you say I don't have spare time, well, stop watching television and get your ass into whatever you like,
Okay.
because I'm not against television, not at all, or Netflix or whatever, but those distracting projects, you know, because you're gonna be visible as an entrepreneur. That's You have to make the shift. And it doesn't matter if you are an entrepreneur or you work in a company, you got the same challenges.
Yeah.
Because as I say, um, you create, or you start from happiness, because a lot of people even don't know what makes them happy, because they don't feel, and
That's true.
they don't know what it feels, what makes them happy, because they're not aware, first of all. So you have to shift this mindset, and then if you shift your mindset, it will, because I worked in a corporate myself for 9 years, you know but I took the plunge, and as I mentioned before, go into this new container. So first of all, you have to create space. That's the first thing. Whatever, if you're an entrepreneur or if you're in a corporate world, create space first of all, and tap into your feelings first of all, because that's the beginning of the big shift.
Yep, that's true. I completely agree with you. And for those people that are not even thinking about, starting their own business, how can they tap not only to the emotions, but to start changing the dynamics they have at work, improving the length of meetings, improving the doing to more being, but how you can influence your environment, because sometimes it's like the boss is a workaholic and
Yeah.
he's chatting you all day long. Obviously there's a boundary thing that you need to be
Yes.
working on,
Yeah.
but we're not going to discuss that
No.
here. But about how the first steps of tapping into your emotions and how you can start doing this change, because when your energy shifts, then
Yes.
everything around you starts
Yes. I
shifting.
agree. I agree. Well, the first thing I would say, manage, because in the beginning you don't know how, but you will feel anger or irritated, or something will trigger you, and it is how you respond on it. And because I've felt this within the corporate as well. When people kept asking me questions and bombarding me with everything, the reaction is how you become aware of yourself, but also of how people treat you. Because you are the one who tolerates how people treat you. So if people keep bombarding you, you allow them. So that's your response. So if you get angry, or triggers is most of the time indeed has to do with a boundary that is over exceeded.
Exactly.
And then you have to step back because and look at the bigger picture and ask yourself, is this how I want to continue my life?
Mhm.
That's the first question. And even though you don't know, it's also good to know what you don't want,
Exactly.
for starters.
And one, if you already know what you don't want, then start figuring out what you want.
Exactly. But a lot of people know what they don't want and keep saying it, but they don't replace it for the things they want. So keep focusing on, I don't want this, I don't want this, I don't want this. But you have to put a seed, a positive seed, to let it grow, because otherwise by the end, all the weed is out, and then you
Yeah,
have to put new seeds, positive seeds, and that needs time. You need to create space, feel your feelings, and then start learning.
that's true. I love our conversation. I think all the tips you gave and how you know to refocus uh, life to have a flip flop, either business or non necessary business, but lifestyle, a flip flop
Yes,
lifestyle.
yes,
It changes completely the way you relate to yourself
yeah,
and to everyone around you, especially how you relate to work. You know, now with COVID, that people started working 3 more hours daily because we're home, or some people never went back to the office, they
yeah,
stay home.
yeah,
And the demands now are really crazy. Like
yeah,
people have 2, 3 meetings at the same time,
yeah,
and the multitasking has gone to a different level
yes,
nowadays. So I think the topic we just discussed today is really important. And I want to tell the audience I'm leaving all Monique's contact information on in YouTube and Facebook. And as I said previously, if you want to share this with somebody that could benefit from listening a different perspective of how they can change their lifestyle. And it doesn't matter if you're an entrepreneur, you want to start being an entrepreneur, or you want to continue and love your job, but just want to have more freedom, maybe in time and the things you do, then share this, because it's going to help a lot of people, because it's a different perspective. And sometimes we think things are very complicated, and when we start doing the first steps, things,
yeah,
the energy evolves and we start evolving to a different place.
yes.
So some final words to the audience before we wrap up, Monique.
Yeah, well, I would only invite you all to investigate your feelings. It's worth it. You're worth it. And I'm telling you, everything starts to change when you feel your feelings.
Exactly. And if you want to go deeper and really understand them and work them, then join our membership, Evolución Personal. I explain to you everything you need to know so you can start living life, understanding your emotions, understanding your mind, and thriving to the life that you want. So, thank you, Monique, for being here today.
Thank you for having me. It's getting dark already here over here, as you can see.
I know. It's almost 8, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
So, thank you to the audience for being here today, and we see you hopefully next week. So, take care and have a great day and a great night. Bye,
yeah.
everyone.